Welcome to my presentation. In this presentation, we shall see more examples related to ratio and rate. Let us take an example here and then explain this example with relation to rate. So let's say we want to travel 150 miles and it takes us 6 hours. So this is the numbers we want to reduce. We are making a road trip which is 150 miles, and then it takes us 6 hours to reach that destination, and we want to be able to write it out in a rate format. So to do that, we will break it down into these different steps. Step number 1, we'll write the first number 150 miles in the numerator and the second number in the denominator. So the first number in the numerator is a measure, the 150 is the measure, 150 miles is a measure of distance, and 6 hours is a measure of time. So since we are comparing two different units, it is a measure of rate. So it is an example of rate. We want to reduce it to its simplest form. We want to express these numbers in its simplest form. So we'll write that as step number 2. In here, we want to reduce 150 divided by 6. And the way we can reduce this is as follows. 15 times 10 is 150, and then 3 times 2 is 6. So we can reduce this some more. We can write 5 times 3 times 5 times 2. 5 times 3 is 15. 10 we can write as 5 times 2, and in the denominator we have 3 times 2 that way. And we said that as long as we have numbers in the numerator and denominator the same, we can cancel them out. We have 3's in the numerator and denominator, we have 2's in the numerator and denominator, we can cancel them out. And therefore when we simplify this some more, and we have 5 times 5, which is 25 in the numerator, and then 1 in the denominator. And what this is telling us is, we'll write that as step number 3. It is 25 to 1. That is the simplest form we can reduce this 150 to 6 as. So 25 to 1, what this is telling us is this. We're traveling 25 miles in 1 hour. 25 miles in 1 hour. We can also express the same thing as 25 mph. We are all familiar with this term, mph. That means miles per hour. The 3 different ways of expressing this answer, as we have seen in ratio, is as follows. We can write it as a ratio, 25 to 1, like that, or we can write it as these two numbers, 25 to 1 separated by a colon, like that, or we can also write it as 25 to 1 in this manner. And these three ways of expressing our answer is perfectly fine. So let us try to understand another example to explain the rate part of it. Okay, let's say this time we have an example related to dollars and the number of hours we're working. Let us say you are working for 8 hours and you are making $200. Or let me write it the other way around. You are making $200 in 8-hour duration, in 8-hour shift. We want to find out the rate, the rate meaning how much dollar amount are we making per hour. That is our question. So to do that, we're going to break it down into these different steps. Step number 1, we'll write the first number given to us, $200, divided by the second number. What we have here is 8 hours, and we want to be able to reduce this into its lowest form. Dollar is a unit, and hours in the denominator, hours is a measure of time, measure of money. This is dollars is the measure of money, the hours is measure of time. So we want to reduce this to its lowest terms. How do we do that? Let's write those numbers down. 200 divided by 8, and 200 we can write as 2 times 100, which is 200, and then 2 times 4, which is 8 in the denominator. So as long as we have similar numbers in the numerator and denominator, they cancel out, leaving us with 100 over 4. So 100 divided by 4, we can simplify this some more as follows. 4 times 25 is 100, and 4 times 1 is 4, that is in the denominator. Again, we have 4 in the numerator, 4 in the denominator. They cancel out, leaving us with 25 to 1. And therefore, we can now come back and then write this as follows. We are making $25 in 1 hour. This is in its lowest form. We cannot simplify this any further. So we can also state the same thing as we are making $25 in 1 hour. With $25 per hour. That is the way we want to mention our rate when we're talking about it to our friends or to anybody else. $25 to 1 hour. Okay. The three different ways, as we were mentioning that in our previous example, the three different ways to express our answer is as follows. We can write it as 25 to 1 as a ratio this way, or we can write it as 25 to 1 separated by a colon like that, or we can also express our answer as 25 to 1. All of these mean the same thing, and these are three different ways of expressing our answer. But the most common one we would say when we are expressing it, when we are mentioning it to others, that if we are making $200 in 8-hour shift, we can say our rate is $25 per hour. So this is the way we want to be able to understand a rate with respect to these simple examples. In my next presentation, we should look at some more examples related to ratio and rate.